Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Survivor 41, Episode 8. We've got drama, grilled cheese, so much strategy, just a really epic tribal council moment, everyone.
Wait. I just need to
What?
stop the video here
Okay.
so that I can create some chaos for no reason.
Heather, what was that?
Heather, what? What? You could see it on her face. The moment that she stopped that, she was just like, let's go. I'm going to have my moment. That's what this felt like.
That is exactly what it was. Almost like Survivor's producer team, and I don't know what goes on in those like interviews they do. I don't know if it was like producer Jim or whatever was talking to her. Was
Producer
like,
Jim.
by the way, Heather, you're going to get zero airtime because you're really boring. You need to go do something. And then she was like, I got this, and then she like ran off the
Oh my
tribal.
goodness.
We'll talk about the vote off. We'll talk about some of the strategy leading up to it. But Heather, this is really the Heather episode for someone that's gotten like zero airtime in almost anything leading up to this.
Yeah, there's some question marks around Heather right now, but this is the most screen time she's gotten.
Well, you know what? There are no questions around whether or not you should hit that subscribe button because we are only 6 people away from 56,000. You would have our hearts, our deep appreciation if you join us there. We are here, of course, talking Survivor every single week.
As well as Dexter and Succession. We have a lot going on here at the channel, so help us reach that milestone 56,000. We are 6 people away. Also, follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Just TV. We have a whole bunch of new pictures up from over the weekend, so you can get to know us a little bit better over there.
Okay, we'll start here at the beginning and we will get back to Heather and the Heather nonsense later. But here's the big thing we can sort of take away from the opening of all of this. We get all of this footage of Tiffany, Xander, Evie, the former super close Yasa Turtle Alliance,
Yeah.
all of a sudden just like running around, like talking to all these people, being like, I will do whatever you want. I'm in danger. I don't have any loyalty.
Yeah, like, listen, I understand where they're coming from, that they want to show that they don't have loyalty, but they made such a huge, like, grandstanding about how close they were in this last tribal with everything down to this, like, fake idol and all them snickering and everything. Nobody's believing this. I mean, there was a little bit of Erica kind of being like, maybe it's true, but I mean, Danny called this straight out. This is not true. They just put too much forward into this production of the three of them being so tight that it's just so unbelievable that the next morning they're going to wake up and all three of them are like, I don't even know who this person is anymore.
Well, that is the thing, and I know we saw Evie here and there try to justify it, but it's just like in the end, they don't have anywhere really to go other than with each other. So regardless of whether or not, oh, I could have gone home if this, that, or the other thing happened, it's still, well, you're still on the bottom, Evie, Xander, Tiffany. Nobody else wants to work with you, so of course you're gonna still try to work with each other.
I just feel like because they just planted their torch and was like, we're the three,
Yeah,
we're together, that at that point, with them being that solid and showing that kind of loyalty, that maybe
yeah,
there was an opportunity for them to pull in someone like a Heather or someone
yeah.
like an Erica to grab a couple more numbers of people that just don't belong to any sort of alliance at this point. Like, why not bring them in and just be a 5 or a 4 instead of just the 3? There, you could have the vote.
That is really the eternal question of this at the moment, and we have no idea what Erica and Heather are really doing.
No.
All we really saw was Deshaun do this whole confessional of being like, I'm not going with them, blah, blah. Deshaun, by the way, little cranky pants here and there in this episode.
A little cranky pants, but I also kind of see where he's
Yeah.
coming from with some of this.
Okay, let's get into the reward challenge, which to
Yeah.
be frank, I don't think any of us really care that much about grilled cheese unless we're eating it. But
Oh, I care very deeply about grilled cheese.
yes, we give us a grilled cheese and we will be full and happy for a long time. However, if you give us an advantage hidden underneath our bench, what would we do with? Is there an advantage hidden under this?
Yeah, see, okay, they have done this twist before. We double checked. It is out there. This
Yeah.
has been done before. But just the same, even if it's been done before, I was going to call out shenanigans on the idea that Xander's just going to be looking around the bench, with nothing, no real reason, that there's going to be someone in production that might be like, hey, Xander, you just never know. You should always look around everything just in case, ha ha ha, kind of thing. Because I would have a very hard time just believing that he just happened to look under his bench, because I can tell you many times I've sat down at my chair and looked under it and it is 0. But I mean, unless you're told to look under your chair, like for any of you Canadians out there, the Kids in the Hall, they used to do shows live. And there was one show that they did where they were like, hey, everybody, look under your chairs. There are donuts. And they had taped donuts to the bottoms of everybody's chairs. And Scott Thompson, who is the 5th member of the Kids in the Hall, was not at that point. And he pulled the donuts and started throwing them. Anyways, that's a side story. But unless somebody's going to tell you to look under that chair,
Yeah.
I don't know why you would.
I don't want to play Survivor, but if you guys do put me on Survivor down there, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to be in like that sit out chair at one point. I'm going to like start looking under the bench, and I'm going to like start running to like the corners of the set, that floating island, and I'm just going to start like looking, and then Probson's going to be like, Matt's diving into the water, looking underneath it. What is he doing? It's like, this is where we're going.
This is why you'd be so fun to watch on the show. Would never play. I am old. I am slow. I am not athletic. I would be bad at this. But I think you'd actually be really good at this.
I think the moment that they see me digging around underneath the platform set for a clue or an advantage, I think I'm going in the first episode. It's gonna be like,
Not if you come up with nothing. Then they're just going to think that you're the odd duck and they will bring you to the end.
oh good. Survivor, apparently, you guys can put me on. I will take your second place for just being the purely insane, chaotic person the entire season.
Maybe, unless there's an advantage under the dock.
They're gonna have me in an interview room. I'm like plucking the camera. I'm like, is there an idol on this camera?
That's right.
Wasn't it like Adam last time where he was like,
That's
looking
right.
for-
You up at the podium.
Yeah, so that's
So good.
okay. So we have, ultimately, okay, nobody cares who won the grilled cheese. None of that sort of stuff really matters all that much.
No, the only thing that really kind of mattered with that is that they all went off to eat this grilled cheese, and everyone who was left back at camp, like Shan, who hasn't eaten in days and days and days, I mean,
Yeah.
that really does get to you. And then you have Ricard come back after being full of chips and grilled cheese to be like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just going to have some of this papaya. And I understand that he's kind of like, listen, I want to try it.
Yeah.
But you need to wait until everybody who is there has had their fill. They're not full of grilled cheese. It was really questionable.
And this just feels sort of like standard etiquette. Not even like with Survivor, but just like in life in general. Like, let's just say, you've gone out to a really fancy steak dinner with some of your friends, but for whatever reason, you also have some other friend who's like back at your place, like eating a TV dinner. This is like you come back from that steak dinner, you look at his TV dinner and be like, I want to take a bite out of your brownie there. Like that, the guy with the TV dinner is going to be like, what
Are you kidding me?
yeah, he's gonna like pick up the rest of the brownie and he's gonna like smash it in your face for that. That's just you know not to take advantage of people who are already kind of down. Like it felt like he was, whether it's intentional or not, kicking them while they're down and eating something that is theirs when they are starving.
Yeah, it's not like you've never had a papaya before, I would
Yeah.
assume, Ricard. It's just it was really surprising that he did something like that, because especially with Shan, and you guys are still allegedly
Yeah.
each other's number ones, which I don't really believe, but you're gonna take that food away from I just couldn't
No,
believe it. I couldn't
no.
believe he did it.
The only other thing I guess that's worth note here is first, Erica gets completely screwed over again by throwing one of the bad rocks. Then Xander is like, whoa, 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 here, Jeff. I want to take that spot. I will. And then we find out later that Xander just likes losers. And my response to that is, are you a New York Knicks fan, Xander?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Please don't unsubscribe. We are 6 people away.
And all the Knicks fans are going to be like, we made the playoffs last. It's like,
That's
okay,
right.
congratulations. You made it once out of like how long, a decade? Okay, so listen, Knicks fans, don't hate me. Nobody from
Knicks.
nobody
No,
from
I
New
don't
York
even
is
know.
watching this video. At least so I'm hoping. But yeah, I don't know what to make of this move of being like, I'm the sacrificial lamb. I'm going to, give somebody else a chance here.
I kind of get where he's coming from with this, because he also made this deal to try to help get rice for everyone. I think he knows that he put himself on this big platform in this last tribal, and
Yeah.
he's a massive target. He's got a bunch of like stuff that he can use. He's got his idol. He's
Yeah.
got, Evie. He's got Tiff. He has to find a way, I guess, to just put himself out there
Yeah.
for the rest of the tribe so that they feel like, oh, good guy Xander, he's going to help me out. Oh, now he's going to help me out. Okay, maybe we won't get rid of him, even though we should.
Yeah, and it's one of these things where despite the fact that Xander's obviously a really big threat, he still doesn't get the lion's share of the votes in the end. And I mean, we'll get more to it. And they knew that he had an idol, but clearly there's something about him he is doing right. I just think he's really, really likable. He's just like, he hasn't played a perfect game, but I like Xander. Like, I'm rooting for him to do well.
No, I agree. I think he's really likable, and I think it's just that helps a lot in all reality TV. If you are likable and have
Yeah.
charisma the way that Xander does, or like a Dr. Will, you can get far on charisma in life as well as
Yeah.
on these shows.
Let's get now to the immunity challenge, because apparently Probst can no longer go a single challenge without making things complicated. First, he's got his grand advantage that Xander doesn't find.
Yeah.
Then he's like with this one, okay, guys, guess what the latest twist is? You guys tell me how many people you are willing to give up, and then you can get a big old bag of rice in return.
Yeah, and we did have people actually sit out for this. If this was me,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm sitting out for this. And I'm somebody who likes to eat. I do not like to be starving. I like grilled cheese. I will eat the rice.
Yeah.
However, I also know that I would be useless in this game, so I need to play for my immunity.
I would be, even though I have as I was told when I was a teenager that I have the balance of like a 3-year-old, I would still be up there trying to do that immunity challenge. There's a couple of things that were interesting to me, though, about this sort of deliberation. First of all, it's like Shan decided to like appoint herself team leader or something. I don't know if that's like something they had talked about in advance, but if I was one of the other people, I would kind of be like, why is Shan sort of speaking for me in this moment?
Yeah, and this seemed to be a thread that just continued on through the rest of the episode, because Tiffany started to notice. We also had Heather, who was straight up kind of like, why is she talking so much about everything to everyone? And every time they came up with who's the next person we're gonna, throw out as a name, but they're not really going home, she's telling Nasir, she's telling Heather, they're getting upset.
Yeah.
And we saw it continue to sort of spiral out with Deshaun as well, where he was like, I can't even get out a word edgewise here. I'm trying to say something and you're shutting me down.
Yeah, it could be a problem for Shan moving forward. I mean, we'll see how maybe she ends up being so chaotic like Tony, where she just talks so much that somehow it works for her, but it's definitely a danger. The other thing I was just sort of wondering here is, Xander, good for you for being a nice guy and being like, Jeff, if I do this, will you lower it to 4? It's like, good for you, Xander. But
You also sound like our friend Jonathan.
Okay, listen, I've tried with this Xander impression all season. I still don't think it's working, but you know what? There's not enough funny voices on this season for me to try to impersonate. That is the real problem. Why are you sitting out of this, Xander? I know you have an idol, but you clearly know you're in danger.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's why. He knows he has the idol, and if he got enough information, he would have played it on himself, and that would have been fine. But I think he really knows that what he did in Tribal last week just put such a spotlight on him as, he has the idol. He's a really smart player. He's willing to be really devious with stuff like this. And he's charming. He needed to do something like this, in my opinion, to try to show that he is a team player and not just with the three.
Hey, and it seems to have worked well enough for him. He still has his idol. He's still there. And yeah, Tiffany's gone, but she probably would have been gone sort of regardless.
And it sucks that we lost Tiffany because she's good TV. Tiffany, you were really good TV. Very entertaining.
Tiffany was outstanding in between her near constant paranoia, whatever she was doing with the idols early on this season, which was really, really tremendous. I think, didn't she say in this episode she was forming an alliance with the crew at one point?
Yes. No, she was great. It was disappointing to see her go, but I understand. If you can't get to Evie and you're not going to get out Xander, you have to break up that three. If they had just sent out Heather, what are you doing?
I was kind of hoping they would send out Heather, and it's no offense to Heather. It's just you weren't bringing a lot to the table. I want to keep
I agree.
It's just also, you can't pull up shenanigans at the very last second at Tribal Council, because these people talk through every single scenario, left, right, up, down, all of this stuff going in. Then it suddenly seems like it's my way or the highway. This is my show. I can do whatever I want, even though you've barely been on the show, Heather.
It was interesting to see how this sort of descended into a chaos and how badly it started to really go for Heather. Because when she got up and started talking to people, she was getting a big group around her. By the end of it, it was just her and Erica or somebody over in the corner just standing there. And the entire rest of the tribe was all together. I mean, it really does show her where she is.
This is where I think things are going to get interesting, and I guess at the end of the day, we could say this is a predictable vote off, even though it was a pretty unpredictable Tribal. But moving forward, if you're Naseer, or if you are Heather, you both know that your name was sort of thrown out there as a alternate possibility. We're giving people this name, and it's okay, well, these people aren't being given Danny's name. They're not being given Shan's name. Isn't this at least enough of a signal to say, oh, maybe I'm perceived as being on the bottom. It's probably time to try to do something here.
Yeah. If I was Heather or Naseer, I would go and talk to Xander and Evie at this point, because they don't have Tiff anymore and they're clearly close, even though they're pretending that they're not. And they were called out at Tribal about this as well.
Yeah.
But if my name is being thrown out there and I'm not really part of anything, and they have a spotlight on them too, 4 together is better than 2 or them on their own.
I will give a little bit more credit here to Xander for just having just the cojones to be able to sit there and be I'm not going to play my idol, even though Ricard just said to my face a few seconds before the vote, you should probably play your idol.
Yeah. No, good for him for not doing it. I know they really wanted to flush that idol out, and I'm sure he knows that too.
Yeah, it's just, we are set up now, I think, in a pretty interesting place. And I think overall, I'm still enjoying this season a lot. I know that we kind of sort of have a group that is Shan, Danny, Deshawn, Leanna, those 4 seem like they're quote unquote running the show, but Deshawn's already seems like he's pretty over Shan, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think it's Shan, probably because she is a passer, has more experience, like she said, being able to sort of make sure everybody gets what they need and that they're all heard. But it is different when you're starving and you're not really thinking properly because you're sleep deprived, you're hungry, you don't have enough energy. energy. It's hard when your body is kind of falling apart like that. Your mind isn't as sharp as it normally is. Do I think that that could be a bigger problem later? For sure.
Speaking of hungry, I'm just hearing from Jeff over there. He's saying that if we want to have dinner, we have to both collectively decide to go off on this video and be able to go and
Are
eat.
you telling me to go turn on the oven? Because that's all right. We can do that.
Otherwise,
the casserole is sitting in there.
Otherwise, neither one of us get to eat. That is the negotiation.
All right, we're going to go have a spaghetti squash casserole. But thank you guys so much for being with us for this Survivor video.
Let us know what you thought about this episode. Hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and we will see you here next time.